On this Gun Talk Hunt, we're on the horn with David Schuessler of the Ducks Unlimited National Organization. A big event's happening right now. You're going to want to tune in. Welcome in, Gun Talk Hunt fans. I am your host, KJ, and we're back with another exciting episode of Gun Talk Hunt. This Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by Crimson Trace. Failure is not an option. And Sig Sauer and Lockdown. Secure your lifestyle with Lockdown. It's the Lockdown lifestyle for us. We are here. Okay, I'm not there, but our next guest is at the Texas Motor Speedway because he is knee deep in the DUX Expo. It's Mr. David Schuessler. David, how you doing today?
Busy, but doing well, KJ.
Well, that's good. And we're filming this a couple of days ahead, but as we are speaking, so April 8th through the 10th is your opportunity to go to the DUX Unlimited Expo. This is their national expo. And the last one was last year. So this is the second annual. Give us a little bit of background, one on you, David, and two, because I know you're the national director of event fundraising for DUX Unlimited. I'm not sure if I got that title right.
You did. No, you did. That's exactly right.
Yes, I knew I could do it. But give us a little bit of your background and give us a little background on the DUX Expo.
Okay. Well, I am the national director of event fundraising for DUX Unlimited. So I'm involved in working with our 42,000 volunteers around the country and putting on all of these local DUX Unlimited events that we have, which is 4,200. We do 4,200 events a year. Across the country through 2,500 different chapters. And we do that because of the dedication of our volunteers. In this event, the DUX, which, and you are correct, this is the second year, is the largest event that we put on across the country. Now, it's our second year, but it feels like our first year because COVID canceled it in 2020. We had to postpone it in 2021. We ended up holding this thing at the end of June, and it was a fantastic event. We had over 44,000 people here. But if anybody's ever been to the Fort Worth area, in the end of June, it was really hot, and
Yes.
I actually took a jacket off before I got on camera here, and the weather is phenomenal here. A totally different type feel than last year, and I think our volunteers and our sponsors and our exhibitors kind of feel like this is year one. Even though we had a great year last year, this is the year that I think we are going to see what this event can do.
It's from all reports that I've received, and it is a phenomenal event put on by DUX Unlimited, and you guys are only in year two. How are you able to pull off what you do at Texas Motor Speedway? Because that's where this thing is housed. And if you are wondering, yes, there is a Buc-ee's right across the street. I am a frequent visitor there when I pass through to go hunting. So it is a prime location.
Well, first, we're able to do it because of the volunteers that we have. Over 500 volunteers come and oversee this event and help DUX Unlimited put it on. Texas Motor Speedway is a fantastic partner, and the facility here is phenomenal. And the one thing that they let us do is we have live fire ranges at this event. And that, to us, that's a big part of this event. And so in the infield, and when you're in here, you're looking around, I mean, there's a racetrack around you and garages where all the exhibitors are set up. But the infield is kind of the core of the event. But outside in the parking area, last year, we built a 50-yard long by 2-story high berm, knowing that we were going to be here for a few years. And we live fire rifles, pistols, and shotguns. We have a 300-yard rifle range. So if anybody's never shot a target at 300 yards, they can come to DUX and do that. Not only do we have the live fire opportunities, if you like what you have tried, you can go and transact a purchase of it and then have it shipped to the FFL of your choice. And we think that is a really special part of what DUX is and what makes this expo a little different than some of the other ones out there.
Well, by far one of the most like intriguing, and the volunteers on site and the folks helping out with this are professionals. And I think that needs to be stated. They're not just sending you out there and you're not going to just walk up to the line, grab a gun and just start blasting. It's a very well executed orchestra, if you will. I mean, it's very nice, but to be able to fire at live fire at Texas Motor Speedway doesn't happen. I think that needs to be said. Like, you can't go roll up at any weekend at the Texas Motor Speedway and shoot. This is, to my knowledge, this is the only event that they will allow this to take place.
Absolutely. And we started planning this event along with our partners at TMS, Texas Motor Speedway. We worked with the city of Fort Worth and the Fort Worth Police Department. And to your point, our range officers are all work for the Fort Worth Police Department. So it is professionals that are working the ranges. It's trained volunteers who are assisting them, and it is a very high level, organized process to go and do this. Always keeping safety first and foremost. But we're probably going to shoot 60,000 rounds of ammunition this weekend at Texas Motor Speedway.
What do you do with all that brass, David?
I pick it up.
No, wait, no, that brass has to go somewhere. I want to know where it's going, because I've got a guy in Louisiana, specifically down in the New Orleans area, that would much appreciate 60,000 plus rounds.
We police every single piece of brass that comes out, and it does find a home after this. I'll be frank, I don't know where it goes, but it's being good. It's being put to very good.
Well, I wouldn't think Texas Motor Speedway would shine kindly on leaving 60,000 rounds of brass behind. But no, it's all kind of a joke. But in today's times, man, I'm seeing more people policing brass and in need of components than ever.
Well, and we're thrilled that we have the ammunition to use here. I mean, it was last fall, it was a little touchy, right? I mean, everybody understands what the situation is. Right. But I think through our partnerships with people like Winchester Ammunition, Federal Ammunition, we were able to secure it and give people that opportunity to come out. There's some neat things that happen inside of the shooting village, and the whole event is broken down by village. And it's not just duck hunting, it's not just firearms. We have a fishing village, a dog village, ATV. You can go and ride the same way that you could go and shoot a Beretta. You can go ride a Polaris ATV. You can go and ride a Can-Am, a new ATV company out there, Greenworks, which is all electric. You can test drive one of theirs. And it's just a phenomenal event in what it does for the outdoors in general. And we seem to have a nice recipe going here.
Well, and I think it goes without saying is that there's two components there's three components, what I would say, that make this happen. And really it's the volunteers, it's the sponsors, and it's the venue. And obviously the surrounding communities. So I'll give that 4. But the sponsors, what I'm kind of intrigued about, I mean, I think the title sponsor is Purina Pro Plan. And that just goes to show their investment into the outdoors and into the conservation efforts of Ducks Unlimited is they've got like a whole like dog section. So you don't have to be into duck hunting. You don't have to be into shooting guns. These dogs, these athletes that come and show up to this event are phenomenal specimens.
We rolled out, and anybody that's familiar with Texas Motor Speedway, there's a big area called the South Paddock in the infield. We put down dirt and rolled out enough sod to cover a football field this morning. And that grass will start growing this afternoon. We'll put water on it. And Purina is bringing in their performance team. And I want you to think about dogs that jump 2 stories up in the sky and grab these. And they're bringing in trainers that are part of their pro staff to do goose herding like white geese you see in a farmyard, to do the agility courses, to come in and do some retrieving, to do pointing. It's an all around. The dog village isn't just waterfowl hunting dogs, it's dogs in general. And we do know from last year that many of our attendees came just to see those canine athletes perform, and we'll have more this year, because with it being held in April versus the end of June, the cooler weather, and it's going to be perfect. It's like 72 degrees on Saturday.
Oh, that's awesome.
It will allow them to bring all those dogs out and do all of those demonstrations.
Well, they won't risk overheating, because that's always a concern, because they operate at such a high level. They need more than your average dog, really. And that's something, and that's one of the cool things that you can come learn. This isn't just a walk around and touch and feel kind of event. This is more along the lines of, this is a come and learn. This is you're equipping yourself, not necessarily with gear, but you're equipping yourself with knowledge, and you're getting to talk to a lot of the professionals, a lot of the manufacturers one-on-one, which is a unique opportunity for anyone out there.
I believe we scheduled it where every minute that this show was open, there's a seminar going on somewhere, whether a main seminar or in somebody's booth. And it's everything from the Texas Beef Company showing you how to better cook your tri-tip, to a dog trainer sharing, maybe it's just obedience tips, to an Olympic shooter in the Benelli section of the shooting village, helping people learn how to shoot better. I mean, it's just, you can just walk around and learn and try and buy, because unlike some expos where there are no retail sales, we tell our exhibitors, our sponsors, we want you to sell everything you possibly can. Part of what we want to do is to create an environment here where the public can come and talk to these people and make a decision purchase and go ahead and make that purchase there.
Well, that sounds good. Well, we're going to step in here, right, real quick. We're just going to step in here from a word from our sponsors. But when we come back, so is this a grown-up event, or is this a kid event also? Sig Sauer, the cross precision hunting bolt action rifle, is one I love. I'm currently developing a round specifically for this gun. I have one. And why do I have one of these? I purchased it. So, that was important to me. This gun is important to me because I'm going to start this over. Okay. Too many important. All right. Sig Sauer, the cross precision hunting bolt action rifle, is small. Okay. And that's why it's really important to me, because I want a lightweight, shorter rifle that I can carry with me into the backcountry, and I'm not sacrificing extra weight, because you know what? I am putting a suppressor on this, so it makes that barrel long. So if I go out in the field with a 24-inch barrel and I'm adding a 7-inch or an 8-inch or a 10-inch suppressor on it, it's that much longer. So you do the math. But it weighs under 6.5 pounds, and the cross rifle is the lightest, most portable rifle in its class. It's got a precision folding stock, so it can shrink down even more, so I can attach it or affix it to my backpack when I'm hiking out in the back country. And it is available in a 308, a 277 Sig Fury, that's a 16-inch barrel, and a 6.5 Creedmoor, which is what I have, which is an 18-inch barrel. I love it. I absolutely love this gun. It is designed and built here in the United States of America, and it can be found at sigsauer.com. Crimson Trace, the brush line. That's a great name for an optics line, the brush line, because I always find myself sneaking around that brush line, right? But the Pro 4-16x50 BDC reticle has a 30mm tube and is a Golden Bullseye winner for top hunting scope. So it won an award. It's designed with the experienced hunter in mind, purposely built from the ground up. Reticles are many. They've got a lot of different reticles for you to choose from in this brush line platform, which is important because maybe you don't want a BDC reticle, maybe you want a mil dot, or maybe you want MOA. Well, Crimson Trace offers it all, and that can be found at crimsontrace.com. And oh, by the way, it is backed by the Crimson Trace Protect lifetime warranty. So the Crimson Protect lifetime warranty comes standard. We're back with David Schuessler of the Ducks Unlimited. He's a part of the national organization. And when we left off, we were going to answer the question, can I bring my kids to this? Would they enjoy it? Well, there's a couple of things you need to ask yourself first. Do they like shooting guns? Do they like seeing dogs do their thing? Do they like seeing new and cool things? And oh yeah, it's on the Texas Motor Speedway right across the street from a Buc-ee's. I would say there's a probably very good chance that it's kid friendly. So David, I'll let you jump into that portion.
I'll even add to that. Do they like shooting a bow and arrow? Do they like catching catfish? Have they ever shot a laser shot? All of those things are being set up for the kids to come.
The
laser shot for adults as well.
Okay.
But it is a kid-friendly event. In fact, kids 12 and under are free. Dogs are free. It's a dog-friendly event. Yesterday, we cleaned out all of the buckets for dogs to be able to drink out of. And first responders, military, are all free as well. And it's only $10 a day for adults.
That is cool. And that's a big draw. I mean, if you can bring your kids in, have a good time, it's just something to do. So if you're within earshot, I'm going to do something, and I don't normally do stuff like this, but are you going to be walking around the show, David?
I am going to be. I'll be riding around the show in a Polaris 1000 that has been donated for me to get from point A to point B in.
Well, if you need a spot for that too, I know where you can send that as well. So, but I don't normally do this. So for our listeners that are within earshot, if you see David, and you got to be the first one, if you see David walking around the show and you tell him that you heard about the event on Gun Talk Hunt, you just say, "Hey, heard you on Gun Talk Hunt, loved it. I am going to send you something extremely special." So, but you got to reach out, and I'll talk to David after this event, and we'll see if anybody goes up and tells him. But go up to David Schuessler. He'll be riding around in a Polaris 1000. You stop him and tell him you heard it on Gun Talk Hunt, and I'll send you something good.
I'll tell you what, I'll double down on it. I'll do the same thing from Ducks Unlimited. How about
All right. That's a challenge. That's a throwdown that I really like. Let's talk about some of the sponsors, because that was one of my 4 keys to making an event like this happen. We've discussed Purina, Pro Plan. What are some of the other sponsors that have really just kicked it up a notch?
The North Texas Chevy dealers. It is incredibly difficult right now, I believe, for any of the auto manufacturers to find time or units to bring to a show like this.
Yep.
And unfortunately, we won't have the ride and drive aspect like we did last year, just because of the shortage that we have with the chips, and everybody knows about that. But Chevy really stepped up, and they said, you know what, we're not going to have units that people can get in and drive over rocks and tree branches and things of that nature, but we want to be a big part of it. So Chevy is a incredibly important sponsor, as is Ducks Unlimited's official bank card, First National Bank of Omaha. So really, if you look at Purina Pro Plan, Chevy, and First National Bank of Omaha, those are the 3 high-level sponsors that we have. Now, after that, the list, it's really too long to go through every single one, because we have over 200 exhibitors and sponsors that will be here showing everything that they have to show.
And you've kind of touched on honestly, you've kind of touched on a lot of them throughout this podcast. But you look at General Tire, you look at Greenworks Commercial, New World, Reed's, Reed Sports, Winchester, Yeti, Bass Pro. I mean, the list just goes on and on. How many vendors are going to be there where folks can go by and just look at all their stuff and purchase?
So all 200, and if you sponsor, you're here and you're selling. So there's close to 200 companies. I like to term it as there's 200 companies that you can visit with here. Just inside of the garages, and there's a north garage and a south garage. Just inside of the garages, there's roughly 160 exhibitors that'll be in those garages. And this is everything from duck calls to food vendors to clothing vendors to airboat companies to Canadian hunting outfitters to fishing outfitters to decoy companies. It just leather good companies. It just really anything that is involved with the outdoors. We have something here that somebody would love to see. I know that G&H Decoys, they're unveiling a new duck boat at this show. The first time anybody can shoot a Benelli Super Black Eagle 328 gauge is at this show.
Oh, I haven't even gotten to shoot one of those yet.
So it's neat for us to see that type of involvement with our sponsors and our exhibitors, that they're holding off and saying, okay, I want to launch this at DUX.
Yeah.
Especially the Super Black Eagle 328 gauge. I never dreamed that they would come out with that gauge and that platform, but they did, and tomorrow I'm going to pull the trigger on it. Oh
my goodness, you lucky dog, you. Well, we were going to talk a little bit about some of the local organizations and how local organizations help the overall national organization and what that looks like. I know I've got a good buddy. He's heavily involved in the Norman, Oklahoma chapter out there, and they do a lot. But where can folks go to find out, like if they're like in the Dallas area and they've got nothing to do this weekend, but they're like, man, well, how do I buy tickets? How can they do that? So the dedicated website for this event is DUC, and that's singular, not plural, duckexpo.com. And that has everything from parking maps. You can buy a ticket in advance. It's a list of all the exhibitors. It's everything that you would know is housed at that site, duckexpo.com. And you can figure out your travel there. You can see what sponsors are signed up. You can volunteer. That's the thing that we should talk about is the volunteers, because that again is one of those 4 keys that I talked about. You have, what'd you say, 500 volunteers? Roughly 500 volunteers that it takes to put this event on. And volunteers are the lifeblood of Ducks Unlimited. We were started by volunteers. There wasn't a group of guys that said, hey, let's start an organization and make some money off of it. It was 4 hunting buddies from New York City that were hunting down in North Carolina that said, we're seeing fewer and fewer ducks. We need to do something about this. Let's pool our money and see if we can't make a difference. That's literally the origins of Ducks Unlimited. Fast forward 85 years, and that's still what we're doing today. The vast majority of the support and the people that are boots on the ground, holding events, raising money, are that volunteer army that makes up the power of Ducks Unlimited. There's a few of us like me who work for the organization and are blessed to work with those volunteers. But without the volunteers, Ducks Unlimited would truly cease to exist. All right, that's fascinating. Hey, we're going to jump in real quick from a word from our sponsors. Lockdown. So do you have a wall that you need filled with something to house important items? Maybe it's off of a hanger. Maybe you want to organize your loading bench, which is what I need to do. And I have a blank wall there. Perfect for secure walls from Lockdown. It's an organization product. So this is going to keep you organized from start to finish. And that's really important, especially when you're talking about reloading. You want to be organized. You want to be squared away. So every round that comes out is precisely complete. So they're easy to configure, and they can be configured any way you want. So if you have an odd shaped wall or an odd shaped space, you can find a secure wall to fit it. So it's an inexpensive way to organize your firearms, your magazines, and your gear. With wall panels, handgun and long gun hangers, pegs, racks, shelves, and baskets all work within this secure wall. So it's kind of a multi-fit, universal fit for everything. But pair it with a vault door and turn any closet or even a room into your gun safe. Use code GUNTALK10 at checkout for 10% off your entire cart. More can be found at lockdown.com. Ducks Unlimited. Now, they aren't like our normal sponsor, but I wanted to give them a special shout out because what they are doing is very important work in conserving our heritage. I can't stress the importance of Ducks Unlimited enough. They have over 4,200 local chapter, meetings a year. So if you go to one of these events, know that the money that you bid on those raffle items or donate to Ducks Unlimited goes to a great cause. It's about conserving. It's about keeping those flyways flowing with plenty of ducks for you to hunt. And don't worry, they're not only working up north, they're working all the way down to the coast to help conserve those flyways and our natural resources. So go give them a check. Go to ducks.org to find out more. Okay, we're back with David Schuessler. He's not with the Texas Motor Speedway. He's with Ducks Unlimited. He's part of the national organization, and he was talking a little bit about the origins of Ducks Unlimited and how it's really been keyed in and focused on the volunteers. And we understand, from a conservation effort, that's important. But can you talk briefly, because I know you are the national director of event fundraising. Can you talk a little bit about where dollars go, when they attend an event like Duck Expo? And all this information can be found on duckexpo.com. So if you want to, map out your travel, if you want to buy tickets ahead of time, check out what vendors, go there. But David, explain a little bit about what that money goes towards.
Ducks Unlimited's mission has not changed since 1937. We conserve, enhance, and restore wetlands and associated uplands to the benefit of North America's waterfowl. And we do work in all 50 states and every province in Canada and very important wintering areas in Mexico. And the one thing that drew me as a businessman before going to work for Ducks Unlimited, as a businessman who was a volunteer at my local chapter, what drew me to the organization was that singleness of purpose that Ducks Unlimited has, that our first thought was there are problems in the breeding grounds of Canada. We need to go and fix it. That was the genesis of it.
Right.
Today, that's still what makes us all wake up and do what we do every day. Now, we've expanded the scope of our conservation efforts. Now we're worried about the Central Valley in California. We're worried about what's going on the Louisiana Gulf Coast because we continue to lose wetland acreage there. We're worried about the Chesapeake Bay. The increase in success that we've had raising funds has allowed us over decades to expand that that reach of what we do, but it's still about conserving and restoring wetlands. And our number one focus is the breeding grounds of the north central U.S. and Canada. We're talking about the eastern Dakotas, northern Montana, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta. That's the duck factory, right? And if we're going to have huntable numbers of waterfowl every year, that's where we need to focus the majority of our work. But science has told us that we also need to be working on the Louisiana Gulf Coast. We need to be in California and parts of Nebraska and all of those different areas. So when somebody attends an event, that's what they're going to fund. They're going to fund those conservation efforts that science tells us we need to be doing in these certain areas. But we have added a few things to what we do over the years that we know is important to the sustainability of not only Ducks Unlimited, but our heritage, our hunting heritage overall. And one of the things I wanted to share with your folks today is a new program we have, which is called DU-TRAP. And that's an acronym for Team Resource Assistance Program. And this is a COVID idea. This was born during COVID. COVID had allowed us right at the beginning when we all went home for 2 weeks, right? We weren't supposed to be talking on the phone because you were going to get sick.
Some people went home, David. Other people's like we were ready to get back to work. I think Ryan and I were back in the office within like 3 or 4 days. I was like, man, I can't take it. He's like, me either.
We were the same way, but it allowed us to step back and go, what do we need to be doing more of? And part of my responsibility, I'll also oversee our R3 programs. And we took a look at youth shooting, and we were involved in youth shooting, but we weren't involved enough. So now we have a program that's about a year old, which is where it's a grant program to youth shooting teams where we provide them with merchandise at Ducks Unlimited's cost. We provide them with their marketing materials to hold fundraisers. We design those materials for them professionally, and we say, here, we buy on an economy of scale. We want to give you our expertise, and you go out and raise money for your team. And I'm thrilled to say that in the first year, over 6,000 youth shooters across this country whose teams chose to take part in that have benefited from Ducks Unlimited, and a nonprofit, no-profit program that we have started because we know we need to be doing that to expand the shooting sports, because we know it's a gateway to in these kids' future.
So is that open to like high school teams? Because right now you're starting to talk, and I'm like, man, I've got a nephew who's on, I mean, a little school. I mean, he probably has 10 kids in his class, but man, something like this would greatly benefit his school, his school team.
So high school teams are exactly who we built it for. And KJ, I'll tell you, my son was a competitive high school shooter, and he played football in the fall and he shot in the spring. I thought football was expensive with the gear until he started shooting. And I saw as he went through high school, and the Memphis area where I live is a very competitive high school shooting area. And I saw these number of teams, and I thought to myself, how are they paying for all their targets, their course time? How are they paying for their shells? And it's tough, right? It's just any sport. And what we're doing, we have had coaches tell us, if not for your program, I don't think we could have had a team this year. And so to me, that's a very powerful statement that we are keeping some teams in existence by doing this. It's for high school teams and it's for college teams. And all they have to do, if there are any coaches listening, you might have already seen some of this through the organizations that govern your shooting in your state. That's where we're trying to get the information out. But if you just Google DU-TRAP, you will find all the information that you need, or go to our website at www.ducks.org. And we make no money on this. This is all for the good to promote youth shooting across this country.
That's awesome to be able to provide your resources and your expertise, because, I mean, again, most of these high school coaches are all volunteers. They are scraping the bottom of the barrel because, well, let's be honest. I mean, the shooting sports is not funded as well as a high school football or a high school baseball or basketball. So they get kind of what's left over. They're kind of an afterthought. So even those club teams, and club teams are typically teams that are put on by volunteers, just like DU's members and volunteers. But find out more about the TRAP program at ducks.org/trap.
Correct.
Very simple. If we're sitting here talking and I can go ahead and do it and pull up the page. And this was unscripted. I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but it's a super interesting program. Thank you for bringing that to light. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're thrilled with it. It's been so popular that we've had to bring staff on to help fulfill the program. And my goal, I would like for every youth shooting team in the United States to benefit from DU's expertise. I personally, my belief is I want to recruit new hunters, but I want to recruit people who are okay with us hunting and okay with us shooting, maybe even more so than I want to recruit hunters, for the simple fact that we're never going to be in the majority, right? We know. And so I want my neighbors to be okay with what I do. And I think youth shooting helps do that inside of our society.
Oh, it's impressionable young minds. I mean, and it's allowing them to be able to think on their own, and it's teaching firearm safety. These kids that are part of these programs are more responsible with gun ownership. They understand, the consequences. They understand safe gun handling, and they learn that, and that carries through future generations.
It does. And I don't think, and I didn't realize it, I don't think most people realize it until they have a son or a daughter or a nephew that is on one of these teams, how many of the kids don't come from a hunting family. I shot my first duck at the age of 5. I knew how to handle a gun at the age of 5. A lot of these kids are new to handling a gun, but they want to participate in the sport. And every child that shoots in this country has to go through hunter safety. And we're just putting hundreds of thousands of kids through hunter safety through these programs. And so DU's trap program is how we're helping encourage this and broaden gun safety, as well as just the knowledge of hunting in general throughout the country.
I love it, David. You're doing the Lord's work, and I appreciate you out there hustling. And man, enjoy that beautiful weather at Texas Motor Speedway for me, please.
Well, I'm going to. It's Chamber of Commerce weather here.
Perfect. All right, guys. Hey, that's it for me, your host, KJ, for this Gun Talk Hunt. Always remember, guys, keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.